Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Keys to the Rock, Season 3, Episode 1. I am Ben Rigo, joined as always, even though it's been a long time, by Athletic Dan. Grateful for the miles you run, mate. Good to see you. Been a while.
It's a pleasure. We didn't connect real good right
There we
there.
go.
How are you
Okay.
doing, sir? No, I appreciate that. It has been a while. It's really good to see you. It's really good to be back. Keys to the Rock. Yes, it's been a while. So, I guess we'll start with why it's been a while, and a little bit of background is
Drum roll.
No, it's not. It's no exciting reason. I wish I could say, oh yeah, I had a baby and this.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's just we've just been busy. So
Restructuring.
Ben's been killing it on the real estate end. Top agent probably in Bermuda, I'd say, over the last since we had our last episode.
We don't even know when the last episode was.
But yeah,
there's a lot of good agents, but the market is continuing to be crazy busy. And then, even quick shout out to Tiago Rebello, who is sitting here proudly, is an amazing new assistant that I brought on board. Associate, sure.
Yeah. No,
call him what you want, but no, doing such an incredible job. And so he's really helping me raise the game and find different avenues where we can find more time to do things like this and others. And you've been busy, not just running at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, but also opening up your own company.
Yeah, shameless plug.
Exactly. Brand new.
2025, transition from my 9 to 5 to full time. The company's been around probably about going on 3 years, probably by the time this episode releases. And we've gone full time. So things have revved right up. We've been locked and loaded, very, very busy on all fronts: project management, property management, valuations, appraisals, and quantity surveying. And so we've grown our team. We probably have a team of 6 with a consultant right now, and things are going really, really well. And then even our producer, he doesn't even want me to share this, but he's been recently promoted, and he's giving me a blank stare right now. I'm just very upset. But
we're not allowed to say his name.
Yeah, but Amir Ming has been promoted to an underwriter. So twice he's been promoted. Sorry, apologies. And that's been a lot of the reasons why this has sort of been dragged out, but we are very happy to be here today. We're very excited to be back filming. And if you haven't seen our last episodes, because we're on season 3, season 2 was a short one. It was delayed because of productivity.
Yeah. Short season, but it's basically the lockout, essentially, is what you consider.
It's like the lockout. Yeah.
So, but now, we're back. But check out the YouTube page, check out all the different locations where you check out your podcasts. And I think with this enhanced kind of team that we have now, and obviously Tiago helping keeping us all in order and on track, I'm really excited, especially furthering our social media presences and everything that we've got going on now. So I think we have even greater reach than years gone by.
And with the previous seasons, it would be ill of us to not mention the great Moss and the great Ali, who was a huge help to us. And both of them are striving and thriving in their different situations that they're in. So they helped us build this venture, I'll say. And so shout out to them. And we're very excited for where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I should just say that, and it's a big shout out to those guys and all of our previous guests and things like that. I would also like to shout out all of our previous sponsors. This episode's sponsored by
Dab.
And so we'd like to thank them. So
Daniel, Amir, and Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But thank you to everyone who's given us such support. This has, again, with time and all the energy it takes, family life, work-life balance and all of that. It's been something that, we've been putting slightly on the back burner, but every time I'm in a gas station, every other, week or something like that, I'll bump into somebody. And I'm sure you've told me relentlessly that people are like, oh, I just watched this episode, as if it's new to them. It's kind of like what was so great about YouTube.
Yeah.
And people just wondering, when are we going to do this again? So it's been something we definitely needed to do, but we always put on the back burner. It's kind of like going to the gym.
For you, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
So on that note, we're gonna get into this episode, season 3, episode 1, and the way we used to start the episodes, I think we're gonna kick it right off from there. Is Ben, where are we?
So today we are in the Wharf 16. So the Wharf is that big yellow block right next to Daryl's Wharf. They are condominiums. right next to the Inn Brewery Hotel, which is a small boutique hotel, which is currently under contract. So very pleased for my buyer and my seller on the sale.
Killing it.
No, well, sale's not done, but no, yeah, a lovely hotel just right next door to us here. Yeah, fingers crossed. And yeah, so the wharf here is a smaller condo development. There's a indoor lap pool. There's a pool right on the harbor. There's a dock with floating docks as well. And this unit and the unit above, which is unit 20, that's the penthouse, they've been completely renovated. I'll give a big shout out to Jonathan Castro of ESE, but he was at Cooper Gardner and now SA Studios, and they did an absolutely tremendous job. Sort of, a very modern yet warm kind of feel, I think. That's how I would best describe sort of the interior design here. And Unit 20, the upstairs one, is virtually almost an identical layout to this one, but that one has a massive roof deck, so that's already in contract with the buyer, and this one is currently available. So we're in a high 2 price point, totally vacant, incredibly easy to show. We'll show a little bit of previews on this. Maybe it's already been at the beginning of the video for all I know on the editing side of things, but yeah, lovely space, and something that I think even as an investor or something, buying this, I mean, renting this out right next to Darrow's Wharf, right next to Salt Kettle, the lovely walking street that is. I mean, this would rent for $20,000 a month, as crazy as that sounds in this market. It's a 3-4 bedroom place with a den, so it's an amazing spot. So grateful that we have the opportunities to view these different places and showcase them on the show.
Awesome stuff. All right, so and it's beautiful property. I think we will show some more of it because it's definitely necessary to show the design and the modern design that's been put into it.
Tough to see it now with these lights in our face.
Yeah. Thanks, Amir. Yeah. Psych. But moving on. So with this episode, usually, as you guys might know, we usually always have a guest. This, because it's been such a hiatus from us, we decided that we wasn't going to have a guest for this first episode, and we was really just going to touch on a few of industry-related specific events, what we've seen over the past 6 months to the year, and talk about some of the different policy changes, different things that we're seeing in the market, more inventory coming online, where some of the friction points and stress points are, and really just delve into all bits and pieces of what's currently happening in the Bermuda environment. And I think it would be remiss of us to not touch on some of the 3 most exciting things, not most exciting, but 3 of some of the biggest things that's happening that I'm seeing a lot of activity on the construction side, and everyone's sort of waiting for it to be finished up due to traffic and all sorts of different things that the average stakeholder would be, that it would impact. Yes, that's the word we was looking for. And those things would be Brookfield.
Yep, Brookfield House on Front Street.
South P.
Southampton Princess.
Yes.
In Southampton.
I don't know why I'm looking at you.
Yeah, he's looking at me.
Finish my sentences.
That's how we are, bro.
And Luscar Place.
What? And Lusker Place, yeah. And also, another one on our list is the Lauren at Elbow.
Lauren at Elbow
has not broken ground yet, but on the horizon. So
some activity
it is incredibly exciting. I mean, there's even another smaller property, but my one on Sharon Lane, right next to Miramar, which Gilbert Lopes developed into the condos there. So the property Sharon Lane, well, it's on Sharon Lane for lack of a better name. We've called it Sharon Lane. And that is at least out to contract with a buyer who I think will sit on it for a period of time, but one day look to develop that as well. So all that to say, development, no matter what people say, which is indeed true, construction costs are higher. I know you and Robbie will be very familiar with this and deal with that on a day-to-day, perhaps even more than I do. But what gives me the most hope is the ambition is there and the long-term goal of like where Bermuda's going, and like
people are doubling down
on spending and investing, not only for their businesses but for their family, for the long term, because real estate in Bermuda is ultimately a long-term play. I would only say that in the last handful of years, with how the market has kind of skyrocketed, is the only time in my history of doing this for 15, 16 years that I could say you could have it a short-term play. I've seen, just on a little tangent, there was actually, you managed the development, Mount Wyndham. This is just one example of many. We could have an episode on this about what things listed for, what it was perhaps even previously appraised at, and where it traded, where it sold. But fantastic clients of mine.
Some good come-ups.
unbelievable come ups.
Yeah.
And it's not just contractors who are making these big jumps, right? And making these profits. So it was a property that was, I think they bought it for, one-ish or so. I think they were, spent a good few hundred or so thousand, perhaps a little bit more into it. We listed at 185. We had about 5 offers and it sold over $2 million within a week. So those sorts of jumps are really incredible. And so that's why, I think construction is one of the most important things going on. We need more housing. And even from a developer point of view, people will pay those premium numbers for rent or to purchase.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you mentioned a really, really good point there. We need more development. I think the Chamber of Commerce recently did a breakout where they was just doing an analysis of, the housing crisis and a breakdown of how we got here, where are we going, what happens if this trend continues, and where basically the gap is. And it's quite scary. Because we're not building enough to supply what we need, right? Like supply and demand, right? We're not building enough.
Nope.
Period. And there's a number of reasons that's associated with where the lack of supply comes from for the housing strand, specifically the rental markets. But one thing that really stood out from that presentation that they delivered was the household size. Seems to be one of the main. Everyone says Airbnb, derelict houses, blah blah blah, and those are contributing factors. But one of the main, sort of friction points that put us into this situation is the household size has changed, and it's gone down.
What do you mean in terms of people?
People
per house?
per unit.
Yeah.
So
Up
it used to
probably.
be it's gone down.
Down.
So it used to be, let's say 2.45 or 2.67, whatever the number was. Average
6-7.
I don't have
I've got young kids.
I don't have kids.
You don't even know what that's about.
I know, I've seen it, but anyway, we'll get back to it. Yeah. But it used to be, let's say 2.45, right? And now it's gone down closer to 2. And what that means is the number of properties that we need to actually house the population of Bermuda is gone. That skyrockets. So without the actual population number changing, the individual price, the amount of persons per unit, that's changed, which means that the amount of units we need. So if we either have to do one thing, which is build more units to accommodate that declining number, or have more people living.
I guess that would be by choice, right? If people, but I would have thought actually with the rise in cost of living that more people at a later age, we have many friends even our age who are living at home, just saving money because it is so expensive to enter the market.
Well, I think because of the lack of development, there's been a bit of a play for, I'll say, the older generations can't downsize the way that they would probably prefer. There's not a lot of properties with an elevator,
one level living,
single level.
Margaret Young did a post on this today. Did you see that?
I didn't see it today, but someone sent it to me. And said, hey, this is a topic.
Shout out Margaret.
Shout out Margaret.
Yeah.
Because probably sends it to me because I said, hey, if you have any topics, he sent that to me, and so that's something that's
exactly what she posted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jeez, now everyone knows the date of when we're shooting, but yeah. So that's one of a key factor. Airbnb, as you know, that's going to be a contributing factor, but with the 2 hotels coming online, that should actually, hopefully, especially in with South Peak, because that's just under 600 rooms. I want to say 594. And then
so specific as if there was no research before.
Yeah, it's not that I Googled it before, but
based on
on thinking, just memory. And then Elbow Beach is 75 keys. What was around, no, I think it was more than that, and I think they would anticipate to do 75.
I don't know if that has been released yet. It is going to be a smaller hotel.
Yeah.
But there's going to be 22 villas on the hillside. So I'll touch on that in a second, but let me just quickly...
Well, let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
So all of that should ease up the rental supply that has been used for Airbnb more recently, because Airbnb, well, it's twofold why people use it. One, you have more ownership over your property based off of the Landlord-Tenant Act as it currently stands. And 2, the price point, you're able to make a good amount of money in the busy season off of your rental investment. And then the last thing is just the derelict properties. And I've even heard the government of the day speak to they're potentially thinking of compulsory purchase of derelict properties to
eminent domain.
Yes, to put them back
for the
market.
Exam takers out there.
Yeah. So I think with some of those things at play right now,
I think rent control. So that was what I was going to say next. And there was a guest on Power 95 this morning talking about rent control. It was a wonderful discussion, and I appreciate listening to it. I even wrote it in my company group chat for people to tune in. But rent control, and I know how you and everyone in the industry feels, it is something that protects the tenants, and that is great. But the Bermudian, I was talking to Tiago about this. I think almost every single rent control property in Bermuda is probably owned by a Bermudian, and whether it's a lower apartment or whatever it is on their property. And unfortunately, it absolutely is a detriment to the Bermudian owner in a less fortunate neighborhood for that. Let's say it's 800 square feet. That in a certain location in Bermuda, that's under rent control. If it's in a really nice neighborhood, that exact 800 square feet costs the exact same amount, cost per square foot to build, costs the exact same to buy a fridge, to replace a window, anything like that. It's not under rent control. And so what's really unfortunate is that the Bermudian homeowners who, especially in the less sort of high-end neighborhoods, those are the people more than likely have a mortgage to pay. Those are the people who would appreciate being able to have the opportunity to charge market demand for rent. Again, a lot of the rent control properties, it's not just Bermudian tenants. There's a lot of expat tenants who are in there on work permits. Maybe they have a housing allowance of a certain amount, even at those technically lower levels and the high executive level places. But what is quite frustrating is rent control. And so the difficulty with rent control on landlords, as you and I both know, it actually holds a lot of people back from actually wanting to enter the market and put their property up for rent. And that is a huge issue, that there are not more protections. And then again, these properties aren't treated well. You can't get the tenants out. And it's a huge, huge shame on the Bermudian homeowner.
No, and just to piggyback on Ben's point, and just for clarity for those of the listening audience who might not be aware, rent control is a property that has an annual rentable value from land valuation office of 22,800 or less. Or below, yes. And so if you go up to landvaluation.bm and you check what your unit is registered at for their ARV, it will have a
I think it's
figure there.
358 now.
No, it's
22,800, yeah.
22,800 and or below. So that's the rent control part. And as you said, right? So I mean, and we're not trying to have a political policy discussion today, but I think it's an overview, and it is what it is, right? Bermuda is in a housing crisis. There are a lot of people going unhoused, and so different things have been put out. I've seen Home in association with I don't want to get the ministry wrong, but Home in association with a government ministry recently put out a homelessness plan or to tackle homelessness.
And we had them as a guest at my lunch in December. Yeah.
So I mean, with all of that, the housing crisis is crazy right now, and there's no real signs of it slowing down in terms of solutions.
We need to incentivize the landlords to list their properties and to give them more protections to incentivize them to enter the market, because that is where there's going to be more supply for the demand that's out there. And
even from a developer standpoint, right? Like, I mean, if I want to build, I don't know, let's say some
10 one-bedrooms, we
haven't spoken to the construction costs, but the construction costs of building those 10 one-bedrooms is going to be quite similar to the construction cost of, it's not going to be too much of a differentiator for building luxury. So you have a guarantee with one, and then the other one comes with its own sort of problems. That's why a lot of the new builds are going to be built specifically for a certain market. So without those changes, it's something that it doesn't look attractive to private investment and to the general market. And so government's going to have to step in at some point. And I think they're packaging together a plan right now. I would like to think that it'd be finished and completed. The National Housing Plan will be finished and completed by the time this episode comes out. And then that will be another talking point for another episode. But I think that's something that really needs to be.
I think that, yeah, and we are, I mean, even just with this small voice that we have, we're open to suggestions and things like that, and criticism, comments, positive, negative, because, we genuinely care about Bermuda, the public, housing. People think that agents are commission chasers, and maybe the ones who are one and done kind of agents are, but the people who are actually entrenched in the industry and doing this for the long term actually care about people and about the long-term goal. I mean, my grandfather always said, if you take care of people, then commission and things like that, will always take care of itself in the long run. So that's not the goal. It's about caring about the relationships and taking care of those and looking out for people, and always looking at the long term, and not being short-sighted. So yeah, open to suggestions, but I think it'd be amazing, which they are. We've been in touch. I was emailing one of the ministers this morning about things. So I'm just trying to provide different solutions, but we just hope that doesn't fall on deaf ears, because we're only trying to provide solutions, not to better ourselves, but to better the people who we disappoint every single day when they miss out on things and there's no inventory out there.
So speaking to that, Ben, I really like to. You have boots on the ground. You are in the
white shoes today, actually, because I knew I had to be cool for you.
So you have white shoes on the ground. You able to share a little bit about the market activity that you're seeing, and the tail of the tape from previous years was it's hot. Everything's
yeah.
But just give a little background on what you're seeing in the market, where some of the stress points are, and where you see things headed as we lean into 2020.
Sadly enough, I mean, compared to any other episode when we do this post-reading chat, it is worse as let's say a buyer to enter the market than it's ever been before. There's one example that I'll talk about now. So Morgan's Court. So this is at a price point that we priced at, I believe it was $595, 2-bedroom, just down the road, Morgan's Road, across from Work Academy. I put this on the market 2 times in recent years. Didn't end up selling it. Actually, similar price point, always like $595, maybe $610, that kind of range, and didn't get any offers. So then we rented it for 2 different cycles, and that was great. And obviously then the owner was happy because the rental numbers were going up. This time, again, we were like, okay, let's test the market. We had 10 offers within 2 weeks or whatever, 2 days of tours, actually. So whenever we scheduled those, 10 offers and 42 tours or something, Tiago. It was an incredible amount of activity.
42 tours for 2 bedrooms.
In 2 days, basically like an open house thing from like 8:30 until 6. And people we basically structured it, 21 or whatever it ended up being per day. And went way over asking price, 10 offers. I think 1 of the 10 were under asking price. Everything else was at or over. What we found, even with our internal numbers last year,
cash, or
the ultimate buyer was cash and buying it as an investment property. Bermudian, yeah. Okay. It's only available, well, it could have been a BOTC or something, but no, it's interesting because even our internal numbers, I believe it was 54% last year. Every sale that we did was at or over the asking price. And so sometimes, especially when people start to enter the market and, they'll be like, hey, something's $1 million. Maybe I'll try to offer at $950, but you can do that, but you'll probably end up buying your 4th house that you see, because you'll learn, unfortunately, the trial and error that goes through with these situations. And so it's definitely not salesy talk when your agent is advising you based on the amount of activity, like kind of what's going on. And so, goodness me, there was a 985, I think you did the appraisal for it, 985 condo in Southampton. And it's a development of 4. A different company sold one of them, I believe, for like $850 last year. So we're like, all right, we're optimistic. Let's do fantastic marketing, had video, all this stuff, professional photos, put it at 985. I think there was like 5 or 6 offers. It's selling over $1 million by a decent little bit. And so to think about that, it's going 200,000 plus more than an identical unit sold for last year. And so the market is really, and Amir's shaking his head because he's been looking around too, but it is crazy. And so we need people to have the faith in testing the market. But to your point earlier from Margaret's post is where are they going to go, when they look to sell. And just, I guess, just one other quick point on this, Dan. Sorry, do you want to?
No, you go. You want
But one other quick point on this is, I had someone who reached out to me maybe, I don't know, 7 months ago or something like that. And they had been trying to sell their property quietly. It was about 1.6 million or something like that, is what they were asking for it. And they're like, okay, well, after conveyance fees, stamp duty, they'll get 1.5 in pocket or something. And they were unsuccessful with that, with like friends, neighbors, friends of friends, or whatever they were trying. They had about 5 people who were interested in the property. So they finally called me up based on recommendation of a colleague of theirs. And so I went over to the property. We listed it just at the low 2 and sold just over asking price. So in pocket, they got about $2 million. And so people think that, sometimes commission is value off, but it's really value added. And it's a transaction cost, especially when you're in capable hands who knows how to get that marketing reach. People don't often like dealing directly with who you're selling something from, and just with that exposure, and also the time it takes, the relationships with appraisers, lawyers, bankers, being able to draft the contracts up and hit them out to the lawyers at same day of an acceptance, which we do. So you get that momentum, you keep it pushing and keep it going. So just a thing for anyone out there, doesn't even have to be me, but any agent, a trusted, capable agent that you will be absolutely shocked in this market, I would say, that what the potential is when you put it out there, because there's also companies or agents who they'll show it just quietly, just to their people first, and if it doesn't sell, then we'll put it out to the market. If I was that seller, I would be asking that agent, so who are you working for? The fiduciary responsibility is to the seller, and there's agents for sure. I mean, some of them have the reputation for it, but there's agents who work in their own best interest. And again, just as I mentioned before, that's a short-sighted approach, because no matter what, I mean, I was voice noting lovely agent from Coldwell Banker just down the hallway because we've just accepted a deal. And to this day, it's not signed, but I'm getting inquiries directly, and I'm saying, sorry, so-and-so, we're in good faith, we're out to contract, and I'll let you know if it falls through. But there's a lot of other agents who always will want to double side each deal. And while that might be good for that one-off situation, if you establish those relationships with the other agents across the industry and gain that respect, but also no seller should ever agree that, okay, you can just do it quietly, unless they want the deal quiet. But if they just want it just so that that team can show it, I don't see that benefits other than ultimately that agent, because the best buyer, it's not always the best price, but the best terms, timing, conditions, or lack thereof. The best buyer might be someone that I've never even heard of, and another agency, is working with them. So, little vent there, but it's very key. It's very key, because
I need a drink after this.
We can have a beer after this, but no, it is very important, because
I take your point. I don't make light of it.
There was 273 agents last year, and now there's over 300. And unfortunately, we need to keep those standards, because everyone knows someone who's an agent. But there's probably 20 across the industry who are like proper, who have that.
And that's why I became
level of trust. Yeah,
and that's why I became an appraiser. There's only 6 of us.
True. Yeah. No,
but no, that's very true. That's the exact reason. But so no, I definitely take your point, and you make valid points across the board. And just piggybacking on one portion of what you said, I know Amir's looking at the clock and sort of giving me the nudge. He actually can't see it, so it's perfect.
He has no idea. It's been
29. It's been 10 minutes.
29:35.
Yeah, 29:35. But one of the points that you mentioned was just how competitive the market is, and just as I'm in the market, I'm on the street talking to a lot of different people, and some of the different things that we see, and the market is extremely stressful right now. Our stat guy, great guy, he's just shared with me that there's on Property Skipper right now 69 rentals and 169 sales, sales listings, and
that number used to be over 700 about a decade ago,
which is insane.
Yep.
Right.
And there's more houses, physical houses, in Bermuda today than there was a decade ago.
And so with that, I guess the frustration that I get sometimes is I know a lot of people who tick all of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, the bidding wars, over asking, the cash buyers, the different things like that make it very difficult for, I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda to purchase a property. So I had a meeting with a bank the other day, and it was actually very pleasant to hear that they're reintroducing sort of the springboard, and to basically put down a property as collateral, and then you can use that. Because that's source to be sometimes can be a big stumbling block is the down payment, and a little bit of different things that banks are doing to sort of get up to speed with how the rest of the world is operating, in a sense of being able to offer these packages and programs to make it more attractive and to give, hopefully, average buyers, but hopefully first-time buyers a little bit more capacity and a little bit more leverage to be able to go and purchase properties and be competitive.
For the stamp duty, they've been benefited, which helps sellers. So that's been one thing to help them. But
I guess
there's more.
Sometimes the issue with the stamp duty is you don't really receive that benefit until the back end.
Yeah, previously there was one where it took like 2 years to receive it back. I actually don't think so. I would say don't quote me on this, but I'm literally being quoted on it. But I think they can hold it back now. I actually do think. I think that maybe that was from a couple of years ago.
That was something that I talked to someone in government high up to suggest that. I was like, it's not, it sounds hopeful, but it's not actually helpful.
And just to explain what that is, so previously when it started a couple of years ago, or more than that, probably 5 years ago, it was properties that were $750,000 or lower, stamp duty would be exempt, which means typically in a transaction...
Not just for that property, though. Was it up to $750,000?
Well, it initially was up to.
Yeah, okay.
And then it was up to $1 million, and now it's the first $1 million. So even if a first-time Bermudian buyer is buying something for 1.2, that first $1 million of stamp duty is waived, which in a gross transaction, that costs a split 50-50 between buyer and seller. So the benefit is if a cash buyer who has all their ducks in a row, a BOTC, belonger buyer, has all their ducks in a row, and that place is 1.2 million. They offer 1.2, Bermudian offers 1.2, first-time Bermudian buyer. To the seller, it's a better deal in their pocket because they save that stamp duty for the first $1 million. So it is helping. But again, a lot of people don't even know about it. So I think that's another reason why we kind of want to continue to get this voice out there for the podcast, because I deal with first-time Bermudian buyers who are like, really? I didn't know that. Or sellers who have no idea about that benefit. I've even seen it in offers, and then I find out it is first-time Bermudian buyer and they didn't identify that. So it's a key thing just to get the word out there.
That's why you should have good agents. No, I'm joking. I'm not joking. But so I mean, with all of that said, we're not going to drag on too much about. I think I've looked at my topic of list, and I know why Tiago is still holding it up. We've touched on everything. We've spoken about just about everything.
We used to have an iPad. Now we have an iPhone. So it's a small little screen.
Yeah.
But no, I think we definitely going forward, we're going to stay very consistent with this monthly, if not sometimes more often than that. And we welcome anyone to reach out to us if you want to be a guest, and just to highlight some of the other guests that we've had.
So we have a few guests that will probably, a couple that might even return, and then a couple that we have earmarked. So we're looking at, I want to say we'll probably bring back on Matt Kelly of Hamilton Legal. We're also looking at another lawyer. I just met with him the other day.
What law firm?
Trott Duncan.
Perry
Trott.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about estate planning and on that side of things, so we can catch, because when it comes to property, lawyers, bankers, insurance, real estate agents, those are your best friends. To make sure that you're guided in the right direction, whether you're buying, selling, trust, whatever the case may be. So getting a whole holistic approach and a holistic view of all of that is very necessary, so you can be well educated on all of those different topics across that. We want to get on land surveyor. We want to get on someone from Department of Planning of earmark. We have someone from insurance, life insurance actually, which I think can segue in because it's all quite similar.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably have on someone from a bank,
Different contractors, architects.
architects, and so we're trying to basically reach out to every and anybody.
Yeah. There's been, I mean, in a funny way, when you think about it, like a cleaning company, I mean, just everything kind of touches real estate in some extent. So, yeah, we love to not only just continue to talk about this sort of stuff, but obviously make those connections with so many people that we've had on the show that today, sounds corny to say, but like we're like friends with people that we've had on the show now. We've got, those connections. They become clients and repeat people that we rely upon for advice and connections. And so it's, all part of it.
So before we wrap up, and as we're getting back, because it's been so long, as we're getting back into the flow, can you remind me of what we might have to do right now before we close out the show?
Like key points or something?
Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that the thing? That's what you're thinking?
What was it?
Keys to
The keys to the show or something we said? Hold it.
Yes.
Anyway, but the 2 key points. So what would be, I'm putting you on the spot there, but you've literally been talking with me. So you should be that difficult.
I mean,
what's your key points?
Sadly enough, the market is still in a state of crisis. It's a good market for landlords. What I didn't say previously was it's far...
One line or less.
I know. I cut you, mate. Got to tone. Hey, look, the more often we do this, I'll have more time to get all the passion out. But it used to be, coming out of COVID, landlord's market, seller's market. It's definitely gone that way. It's still a good time to be a landlord, but the craziness is by far more on the seller. So that is the key. The exact same house or apartment, if that went on for sale and for rent, there's probably 20 people who'd come check it out for sale, maybe 5 to 8 for rent for any property. That's kind of like what the balance is. Mm-hmm. So the inventory chaos, and I guess new construction, no matter what's going on in the world.
It's going to be 2 points. So it's going to be 1 point.
Isn't that 2 points? Oh, you do 1 point, yeah. But that's massive. You look around Bermuda and there's cranes.
So Ben took both points, and
what's your point?
Well, I don't have, because we're only meant to do 2 points. So I'll just piggyback on Ben's point, where we need to make development more attractive to private investors, private persons, and really incentivize persons to help with the supply side, because that's where we're having the biggest issue. So we're having issues on the supply side in terms of the rental market, and we're having supply side on the side of the sales market. So we need more housing generally. So that would be my key point. And then what would be the last thing that we do? You don't remember. Small
business shout out.
Yeah. Who did we say we was going to shout out before the show?
Well, Grateful Running Club or something, Grateful Miles?
No, we've done that. What else? Fish sandwiches.
Oh, Granny's.
Yeah, we're going to shout out Granny's.
Granny's. But, people have different interpretations on how much tartar sauce they'll use.
Yeah. But shout out Granny's, they give a good fish sandwich on a Fish Sandwich Friday. So, if you haven't been by there, it's the Turquoise Building on North Shore, right across from Fresh Church Court.
And say promo code Dan.
Get 15% off.
Yeah.
On that note, thanks for joining us. We look forward to having you guys on the rest of the journey on season 3.